No one knew that when Elton John stepped onto the stage that night, he was more broken than he had ever been. 20,000 people were screaming his name at Madison Square Garden. Cameras were flashing from every corner, and the air was electric with anticipation. But behind those iconic rhinestone glasses, something inside him was crumbling. When the lights hit his face, only he knew about the fear flickering in his eyes for just a split second. The roar of the crowd was deafening, but inside his head there was only silence and darkness. It was a cold November night in 2019. The heart of New York City was beating with the excitement of thousands of fans who had waited months for this moment. The Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour was supposed to be Elton John's final grand goodbye, a celebration of 50 years of music, love, and unforgettable melodies that had shaped generations. But this night was different. This night was not just another concert. This night, Elton John was fighting a battle no one could see, a war waging inside his own soul. Backstage, in the massive dressing room with mirrors covering every wall, reflecting infinite versions of himself, he sat alone. His 72-year-old hands trembled slightly as he rested them on his knees. On the table in front of him lay dozens of colorful glasses, arranged in perfect rows, glittering jackets, and costumes prepared for the show. But Elton wasn't looking at any of them. His eyes were locked on his own reflection in the mirror, searching for something he couldn't name. "Who are you?" he whispered to himself, his breath fogging the glass. "Who are you, really?" This question had haunted him for decades, following him like a shadow through sold-out stadiums and empty hotel rooms. He was born Reginald Kenneth Dwight in a small house in Pinner, but he became famous as Elton Hercules John. But which man was staring back at him in that mirror? The legend who danced under the spotlight, or the lost little boy still hiding in the darkness? But the most shocking part was yet to come. The door clicked open. His assistant Sarah walked in, concern written all over her face. She had seen him before shows hundreds of times, but something about tonight felt different. "Elton, you have 15 minutes. Is everything ready?" Elton nodded slowly, but no words came out. Sarah had worked with him for 15 years, and she recognized that look. Something was deeply wrong, but she didn't dare ask what. "David called," Sarah said gently. "He sends his love. He'll fly in tomorrow morning." David, Elton's life partner, his husband, his anchor in every storm. But that night, David was in London with their children, Zachary and Elijah. And Elton, on one of the biggest nights of his career, was completely alone. He picked up his phone with trembling fingers. There was a message on the screen. When he read it, his face went pale. 3 simple words: "Forgive me, Elton." But Elton didn't realize it at that moment. He didn't yet know how this message would change everything about that night. His memory carried him back decades to London in the 1950s. The small house in Pinner with its cramped rooms. Cold winters where frost formed on windows. His mother Sheila's stern glances. His father Stanley's emotional distance. Little Reggie would sit at the old upright piano, touching the yellowed keys. Music was his only refuge, his only escape from that cold house. "Reggie, stop that noise already!" His mother's voice would echo through the house. But he never stopped, because every time he touched those piano keys he could escape. The notes would carry him to another world, a world where there was love, acceptance, and warmth. His father had never loved him. Stanley Dwight had never hugged his son, never praised him, never said he was proud. When Stanley started a new family with another woman, he showed those children the affection he had denied Reggie. And little Reggie had always seen this as his own fault. "I'm not good enough," he would think. "I'll never be enough." This thought still lived inside 72-year-old Elton John. It whispered to him now, backstage at Madison Square Garden. Wait, don't miss this detail. The message came from an old friend, someone he had fallen out with years ago, someone who had once been his closest companion. These 3 words brought years of accumulated pain rushing to the surface, and right then, before the concert, this flood of emotion was drowning him. Once he had turned to other ways to numb this pain: alcohol, drugs, destructive relationships, a lifestyle that destroyed his body and soul. In 1975, just hours before his legendary concert at Dodger Stadium, he had attempted suicide. No one knew. When he walked onto that stage, 100,000 people were applauding him, but inside he wanted to die. And now, 44 years later, those same dark thoughts were rising again. Whispers, doubts. Who are you? Are you really worth all this? You won't believe this, but that night Elton John didn't want to go on stage. For the first time in his career, he truly wanted to give up everything. He wanted to open that door, walk down the corridor, get in a taxi, and go to the airport. He wanted to return to London, to David, to his children, but he couldn't, because 20,000 people were waiting for him. People who had found comfort in his music. Couples who had gotten married to Your Song. Young people who had experienced their first love to Tiny Dancer. Dreamers who had fantasized about escaping with Rocket Man. Families who had mourned their losses with Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. He was there for those people, and he couldn't disappoint them. He took a deep breath. He stood up. He picked up one of his giant colorful glasses. Tonight it was the pink, crystal-studded, butterfly-shaped one. He placed it on his face. He looked in the mirror. He was no longer little Reggie. He was Elton John now, but the storm inside him hadn't calmed. It had only been masked. As he walked toward the stage, his steps were heavy. Posters from past concerts hung on the corridor walls. The 1970s, the 1980s, the 1990s. A different Elton on each poster. The young and fiery one, the one in crazy costumes, the calm and mature one. But behind all of them was the same man, the same pains, the same questions, the same search. He approached the stage door. 20,000 people's applause was crashing against the walls like waves. Elton, 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 the rhythmic chanting like a heartbeat. A crew member approached him. Are you ready, sir? Elton nodded, and just when everything seemed to be falling into place. At that moment, he felt a pain in his right chest. Sudden, sharp, brief, but strong enough to make him gasp. He paused. His hand went to his chest. The crew member's eyes widened. Are you all right? I'm fine, Elton said, but his voice was trembling. In recent months, doctors had been warning him. Heart fatigue, the pressures of age, the toll of tour stress. You need to slow down, they had said. Your body is an infinite, but he hadn't stopped. Because the stage was his life source, music was his breath, and this final tour was his farewell to the world. The pain passed, the door opened, the lights blinded his eyes, and Elton John stepped onto Madison Square Garden's massive stage. The applause was deafening. The screams of 20,000 people crashed against him like a tsunami. He opened his arms, he smiled, that famous, glittering smile. But behind his eyes there was a mist that no one could see. He sat down at the piano. He placed his fingers on the keys. And when he played the first note, everything disappeared. The pains, the fears, the questions. Only the music remained. He started with Benny and the Jets. The venue swayed with excitement. Thousands of people sang along. Elton's fingers danced on the keys. 72 years of life echoed in every note. But the most shocking part was yet to come. It happened during the fourth song. In the middle of Tiny Dancer, Elton raised his head from the piano and looked at the audience. And at that moment, he saw a face in the front row. A woman. Old. Maybe 80 or older. Tears in her eyes, and she was holding a photograph in her trembling hands. Elton's heart stopped. He recognized that photograph instantly. It was from the 1970s, a shot taken with his mother Sheila, young and beautiful. His mother had died a few years ago, and their relationship had always been complicated. They hadn't spoken for years. Then they had reconciled. Then they had fallen out again. And when Sheila died, there were still words left unsaid inside Elton. Who was this woman? Where had she gotten this photograph? And why, tonight during this song, was she holding it up? His fingers stopped, just for a moment. He missed a note. Maybe no one noticed. But Elton noticed. His voice continued, trembling. Hold me closer, Tiny Dancer. He was trying to hold back tears. He couldn't cry in front of 20,000 people. Elton John doesn't cry. Elton John stays strong. But Reggie would cry. Little Reggie, the child waiting for his mother's love, would always cry. The song ended. The applause erupted. Elton stood up and took a bow. But his eyes were searching for that woman. She had disappeared, melted into the crowd. Maybe she wasn't real. Maybe she was a ghost, maybe an illusion created by exhaustion. But Elton couldn't forget that photograph. There was an intermission, 15 minutes. Elton returned backstage. His hands were shaking. He entered his dressing room and closed the door. He was alone. Wait, don't miss this detail. Elton tried to take a deep breath, but the pain in his chest had returned. Stronger this time, longer. It was spreading to his left arm. No, he whispered. Not now, not tonight. But his body wasn't listening. All those years of burden, stress, touring, emotional turmoil, his drug history, heart problems, were demanding their due. He opened the door. "Sarah," he called out. No one answered. The corridor was empty. He leaned against the wall. He closed his eyes, and the entire film reel of his life passed before his eyes. Leaving the Royal Academy of Music, a disappointed young man, the Troubadour Club in Los Angeles, his first American concert, the night that changed everything. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, rising to number 1, the world at his feet, Dodger Stadium, 100,000 people, and backstage, a man who wanted to end his life, marrying Renate Blauel, his biggest mistake, entering rehab, the fight for his life, Princess Diana's funeral, Candle in the Wind resonating throughout the world, civil union with David Furnish, finally finding true love, becoming a father, Zachary and Elijah, a new meaning for life. And now this moment, Madison Square Garden, 20,000 people waiting and a heart under pressure. His eyes opened. He had to make a decision. 2 options: go back on stage and finish this concert, or tell Sarah there was a problem and get medical help. The first option could kill him. The second would break 20,000 hearts. His decision would determine everything. Elton pushed off from the wall. He took a deep breath and started walking toward the stage. He had made his choice, whatever it cost. When he returned to the stage, the crowd went wild. He sat at the piano. His fingers began dancing on the keys again. But something was different. There was a different emotion in his eyes, as if every note might be his last. "I'm Still Standing" was next. The irony was heartbreaking. Despite everything, the pain, the losses, the struggles, he was still standing. Tears began falling from his eyes. He couldn't stop them, and 20,000 people saw those tears. A silence spread through the venue. No one understood what was happening, and you won't believe what happened. Next, Elton stopped playing. He took his hands off the keys. He stood up slowly and looked out at the crowd. "I need to tell you something," he said. His voice was cracking. The venue fell into deep silence. 20,000 people held their breath. "I've been running away for 50 years, Elton said. Running away from myself, from my past, from my pain. But tonight, there's no more running." His gaze swept the crowd. He was looking for the woman with the photograph. "My mother and we had a complicated relationship," he continued. "She didn't always believe in me. She wasn't always there for me, but she was my mother. And when she died, I never got to say what I needed to say." Tears were flowing from many eyes in the audience. People were hugging each other. Some were crying openly. So if there's anyone here tonight who has a strained relationship with their mother, their father, their loved ones, don't wait like I did. Life is too short, too fragile, too precious. He sat back down at the piano. His fingers touched the keys again, and he started playing Your Song, but this time different, slower, more emotional. Every word was like a confession. "It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside." His voice was breaking, but he kept going. The entire venue was singing along now. 20,000 voices, one song, one emotion, and at that moment something extraordinary happened. The woman with the photograph appeared again. Standing at the edge of the front row, still holding the picture, tears streaming down her face. Elton saw her, their eyes met, and in that moment, he understood. This woman wasn't just someone holding his mother's photograph. She was part of a story he didn't know yet. The song ended. Elton stood up and walked to the edge of the stage. Security was nervous, but he waved them away. He reached down to the woman. "Who are you?" he asked softly. The woman looked up at him. "I'm Margaret," she said. "I was your mother's best friend when she was young, before she married your father, before everything changed." Elton's heart skipped a beat. My mother never mentioned you." "She wouldn't have," Margaret said. "We fell out many years ago, but before she died, she sent me a letter, and in that letter, she told me things she never got to tell you." But this is where the story takes a different turn. Elton invited Margaret backstage. The concert was paused. 20,000 people waited, not knowing what was happening. Rumors spread through the venue. In the dressing room, Elton opened the envelope with trembling hands. He unfolded the letter and began to read, his voice breaking with every word. "My dear Reggie, you'll always be Reggie to me. I'm writing this because I'm dying and I'm afraid. Not afraid of death, afraid of dying without telling you the truth. I was too hard on you. I know that now. I didn't know how to show love because no one ever showed me. My own mother was cold and her mother before her. Every time I saw you on television performing for millions, I was proud. So proud my heart could burst. But I could never tell you. I was afraid that if I told you I was proud, you wouldn't need me anymore. I'm sorry, Reggie. I'm so sorry for every harsh word, every cold silence, every time I failed you. You deserved a mother who could show her love. But I need you to know, you were always enough. From the moment you were born, you were more than enough. You were my miracle, my joy, my greatest achievement. Please forgive me, my son, and know that wherever I am, I will be watching you. I will be at every concert. I will be cheering for you, Reggie, my rocket man, my star, my baby, your loving mother, Sheila." Elton collapsed into the chair. The walls he had built around his heart for 72 years came crashing down. Decades of pain, of longing, of unanswered questions, all of it poured out in that small room. Sarah found him like that. She wanted to call doctors immediately, but Elton stopped her. "I have to finish this concert," he said. "This isn't about my health anymore. This is about closure, about finally letting go." He stood up. He wiped his tears. He looked in the mirror one more time, and what he saw was different. Not little Reggie, not the superstar Elton John, just a man who had finally found peace. He walked back to the stage. The crowd erupted when they saw him, but he raised his hand for silence. "I apologize for the interruption," he said, "but tonight something happened that changed my life. I just received a letter from my mother, a letter she wrote before she died." The venue was completely silent. "She told me she was proud of me," Elton continued. "She told me I was always enough, and for 72 years that's all I ever wanted to hear." He sat back at the piano. For the final song, he chose "Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word," but he sang it about a mother and son, about forgiveness, about healing, about finally finding peace. The entire venue was crying. 20,000 people, united in one emotion. This wasn't just a concert anymore. This was a collective catharsis. As the last note faded, Elton stood up. He looked out at the crowd, at the thousands of faces, each with their own stories, their own pain. "Thank you," he said simply. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me a reason to keep standing. And please, call your mothers, while you still can." The applause that followed was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It wasn't just appreciation for his music, it was love, pure, unconditional love. Backstage, the medical team was waiting. They checked his heart, ran tests. The chest pain was stress-induced, but they recommended rest. "You should cancel the rest of the tour," the doctor said. "No," Elton replied. "I have more songs to sing, more stories to tell, and now I have a reason to keep going." He picked up his phone. He looked at the message again. "Forgive me, Elton," he finally replied. "I forgive you, and I forgive myself." David flew in that morning. When Elton saw him at the airport, he broke down again. But this time, they were tears of joy. "I found something last night," Elton told his husband. "Something I've been looking for my whole life." "What's that?" David asked. "Peace," Elton said. "Finally, peace." Margaret became a family friend. She visited Elton and David in England, spent time with the children, shared stories about Sheila that Elton had never heard, stories of a girl who loved to dance, who dreamed of adventure. And every night after that, before Elton went on stage, he would read his mother's letter one more time. It had become his talisman, his source of strength, his reminder that he was enough. The Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour continued. More cities, more concerts, more moments of connection. But every show was different after that night in New York. There was a new depth to his performances, a new honesty in his voice, a new light in his eyes. People who had seen him perform for decades said he had never been better. That at 72, after everything, he had finally become the artist he was always meant to be. But the truth was simpler than that. He had finally become himself. The final concert was in Stockholm, Sweden. It was a night of celebration, of goodbyes, of gratitude. Elton performed for 3 hours, giving everything he had, and in his final speech, he said something that resonated with everyone. "I spent my whole life seeking approval from others, from my father who never gave it, from my mother who couldn't express it, from audiences who didn't know the real me. But tonight, I want to tell you something important. You don't need anyone's approval to be worthy. You are enough, exactly as you are. I only learned this at 72 years old. Don't wait as long as I did." The crowd gave him a standing ovation that lasted 15 minutes. People were crying, hugging, celebrating. As Elton walked off the stage for the last time, he paused and looked back. The lights were dimming. The crowd was slowly dispersing. 50 years, thousands of concerts, millions of fans, and it all came down to this moment. He smiled. Not the glittering, performative smile he had worn for decades. A real smile, a peaceful smile. David was waiting for him backstage. So were Zachary and Elijah. They rushed into his arms, and for a moment, the most famous musician in the world was just a father, a husband, a man who was finally home. "How do you feel?" David asked. Elton thought about it. He thought about all the years of pain, of searching. He thought about the little boy in Pinner who just wanted to be loved. He thought about the superstar who had everything but happiness. He thought about the man he had become. "Free," he said. "I finally feel free." They walked out together into the Swedish night. The stars were bright, the air was crisp, and somewhere in the distance, fans were still singing Your Song. Elton looked up at the sky, and he whispered a quiet thank you to the universe, to his mother, to everyone who had ever believed in him. The night at Madison Square Garden would go down in history. People would talk about it for years. They would wonder what had really happened, what had caused that emotional breakdown, what had changed in the legendary performer. 20,000 people witnessed something extraordinary that night. They saw a man break down and build himself back up. They saw vulnerability and strength, pain and healing, endings and beginnings. They thought they understood. They thought they saw the whole picture. But what really happened that night, only Elton knew.